Hafaday, Lesor Mamai, good morning and welcome everyone to your house chamber, to everyone viewing in the gallery, the lobby, the general public, those on cable and those on the different social media. I welcome you all to your house chamber and to today's session. I now call this third regular session to order. Please let us all rise for a moment of silence. Thank you, everyone. And with that, I now recognize the clerk to please call the roll of attendance.
Representative Vada. Representative Valdon. Representative Aquino.
Present.
Representative Atal.
Present.
Representative Benavente.
Very good.
Representative Angelo Komatsu. Representative Diego Komatsu.
Present.
Representative Joel Komatsu.
Very good.
Representative Joseph Flores.
Present.
Representative Marissa Flores.
Present.
Representative Manglonia.
Present.
Representative Vogel. Representative Omar.
Peggy.
Representative Palacios.
Gaya.
Representative Rangamar.
Present.
Representative Sablan.
Istiga.
Representative Nicolas.
Present.
Mr. Speaker.
Present.
Representative Yangtamay. Representative Yumo.
Present.
Mr. Speaker, 17 members are present and 3 members are absent.
Thank you, clerk. With 17 members present, that's enough for a quorum to proceed with today's session. Please let the record reflect that Representatives Danita Yangtamay, Roy Adda, and Julie Ogo are hereby excused for today's session. And before we proceed to item number 2, public comments, I'd like to recognize the floor leader for the proper motion to amend today's agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. At this time, I move to suspend Rule 3, Section 6, so that the House amends its agenda to include unnumbered bills and resolutions and communications not filed with the House Clerk's Office 72 hours in advance when a notice for session was given and posted. So move.
Thank you, floor leader. A motion has been made by the floor leader to suspend Rule 3, Section 6, and it has been seconded. Any discussions? Ready? Clerk, please call the roll.
Representative Valdon. Representative Aquino.
Yes.
Representative Atal.
Yes.
Representative Benavente.
Good.
Representative Angelo Komatsu.
Yes.
Representative Diego Komatsu.
Yes.
Representative Joel Komatsu.
Good.
Representative Joseph Flores.
Yes.
Representative Marissa Flores.
Yes.
Representative Manglonia.
Yes.
Representative Omar.
Hungan.
Representative Palacios.
Good.
Representative Rangamar.
Yes.
Representative Sablan.
Hungan.
Representative Nicolas.
Yes.
Representative Yumo. Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, all 17 members present voted yes.
Thank you, clerk. With all 17 members present voting yes, the motion carries. Thank you, colleagues. We now proceed to item number 2, public comments. The podium is open. Please state your name and the entity you represent. Please try to keep your comments to 5 minutes and try to keep them related to what's on today's agenda. Podium's open.
Good morning, Mr. Speaker and members of the 24th Commonwealth Legislature. My name is Esther Atta. I am the Executive Director of the Commonwealth Ports Authority. I come before you to express my support for House Bill 24-96, which appropriates the Tobacco Settlement Fund to the Marianas Visitors Authority for tourism-related incentives, as well as House Bill 24-97, which waives the 1% public auditor's fee for the Commonwealth Ports Authority for the Seaport Division. So I'll go first with my support of 24-96. CPA and MVA work together to ensure that we continue having the flights coming in and also ensure that our tourism continues its recovery. A decrease in seat capacity or airline coming into the CNMI directly affects CPA as we depend on those airport fees for our operations. As you know, we do not receive any general fund appropriations, so any decrease in incoming flights will, of course, greatly affect our ability to continue on with operations. And when that happens, then we would come before you to ask for supplemental budget for our operations. So I strongly encourage all the members to support the House Bill 24-96. And now I will move on to House Bill 24-97. On behalf of CPA, I respectfully submit my strong support of the proposed legislation to waive the 1% public auditor's fee for the Seaport Division. CPA operates as an autonomous public corporation with independent financial and operational authority. Consistent with this authority, CPA independently engages and pays for external auditing services to meet its statutory, regulatory, and bond audit requirements. In addition to that, CPA employs an internal auditor, which provides internal auditing services to our CPA in relations to our bond requirements, as well as our grant assurance requirements. These engagements are funded directly by CPA and reflect our commitment to transparency, accountability, and sound financial management. Currently, Public Law 22-18 granted the Airport Division a waiver of the public auditor's fee, recognizing its autonomous structure and self-sustaining financial structure. The Seaport Division operates under the same autonomous framework and similarly engages and pays for external audit services without reliance on the CNMI General Fund. Extending the waiver to the Seaport Division ensures equitable treatment across CPA's operational divisions and reinforces CPA's independent fiscal responsibility. Additionally, should CPA request audit services from the Public Auditor's Office, we support language clarifying that such engagements may be charged directly to us. This approach maintains oversight authority while respecting our autonomous structure and ensure cost transparency and coordination. Waiving such auditor fee will alleviate financial burden, allow CPA to allocate limited revenues to critical port infrastructure and safety improvements, and strengthen our ability to fulfill our mission of maintaining secure, efficient, and globally connected port operations. Thank you for your consideration and your continued support of the Commonwealth Ports Authority. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Adda. Podium still open.
Good morning. My name is Jamaica Tyron, and I'm representing the Marianas Visitors Authority. Mr. Speaker Edmund Villagomez, Vice Speaker Diego Camacho, Madam Floor Leader Marissa Flores, and the honorable members of this House of Representatives, Hafide and Tiro, and good morning. On behalf of the Marianas Visitors Authority, I extend our sincere appreciation for House Bill 2496. This measure appropriates $960,000 to the MVA for tourism recovery initiatives. We are grateful for the opportunity to provide our comments and to formally express our strong support for its passage. Tourism remains the cornerstone of the Commonwealth's economy. Since the pandemic and subsequent global market disruptions, the Marianas has experienced a decline of more than 70% in annual visitor arrivals compared to its pre-pandemic peak in 2018. While we saw gradual improvement post-pandemic through 2024, the exit of Asiana Airlines and the continued reduction of flights from Korea have caused us to lose momentum over the past year. Although we continue working toward a more diverse and resilient visitor industry, the reality is that the Korea market currently accounts for nearly 70% of total visitor arrivals to the Marianas, effectively serving as our sole primary source market. This level of concentration leaves the Commonwealth highly vulnerable to market shifts beyond our control. Recently, several structural factors have affected the stability of air service from Korea. These include the currency pressures against the US dollar, the regional oversupply of discounted seats to Guam following mandates associated with the Korean Air Asiana merger, aircraft redeployment by Korea carriers to higher yield long-haul markets, seasonal load factor volatility, and ongoing fuel and operating cost pressures. Collectively, these conditions have reduced air service to the islands and constrained the CNMI's ability to scale recovery and rebuild demand. In recent weeks, industry developments indicate the possibility of additional flight disruptions during the upcoming summer operating period from March to October. Airlines are currently reviewing flight feasibility, and the decisions made during this window will determine our level of international connectivity for the remainder of the year. Any further reductions in air service at this stage would have immediate and far-reaching economic consequences and would directly and immediately impact hotel operations, small businesses, employment levels, government revenues, and the overall economic stability. Immediate and strategic intervention is necessary to maintain existing air service and stabilize what has become a highly volatile operating environment. The appropriation of $960,000 under House Bill 2496 will provide MVA with the capacity to remain at the negotiating table and implement targeted stabilization efforts during this critical period. This measure is not solely a tourism industry initiative. It is an economic protection strategy intended to safeguard essential connectivity while longer-term diversification and recovery efforts continue. For these reasons, the Marianas Visitors Authority respectfully requests the favorable consideration and expeditious passage of House Bill 24-96 on first and final reading. Sizuz Masi.
Thank you, Mrs. Tahiran. The podium's still open.
Good morning, Speaker, Vice Speaker, Madam Floor Chair, and honorable members of this distinguished body. My name is Victoria Bellis, and I'm here in my capacity as Program Manager for the CNMI America 250 Commission. I'm here to educate everyone a little bit about the Commission due to the fact that there is consideration for local appropriation of funding towards this cause. The CNMI America 250 Commission was issued through Executive Order number 2024-007 by Governor Arnold Indalecio Palacios, officially creating the CNMI America 250 Commission. It was signed on August 8th, 2024, and takes effect until March 2027. The purpose of this commission is to coordinate commemorative events, education, and cultural programming, as well as working with schools, historians, veterans, cultural leaders, and municipalities. We are also partnering with the National America 250 Commission and other states and territories, all while highlighting the CNMI history, culture, and the 50th anniversary of the Covenant. The CNMI America 250 Commission is important because it helps ensure that the next generation understands why our relationship with the Covenant matters, not just historically, but politically. This commission creates space to educate our young people about the meaning of political union, how the Commonwealth came to be in partnership with the United States of America, and why informed political analysis is essential to self-determination. By encouraging deeper understanding rather than surface-level celebration in the form of events, the Commission helps prepare future leaders to thoughtfully engage with our past, our present, and the decisions that will shape our future. Thank you for your time and consideration in supporting this mission. The Commission is not revenue generating and relies entirely on donations, both public and private, and public appropriations to carry out this work. While public events are one component of our efforts, we are equally focused on developing educational avenues that foster critical thinking and long-term understanding of our political history and our future. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bellis. The podium's still open for any further public comments.
Hafide Tiro, and I'm si Joe Guerrero, and I represent several entities here, not in no particular order. I serve as co-chair of the Governor's Council of Economic Advisors. I also still sit on the board of the Saipan Chamber of Commerce, and I also represent myself as a small business owner. Yes, I wear a lot of hats in this important time in the CNMI. I also serve on the board of directors for the Marianas Visitors Authority. Don Cluna Sizus Masi for floor leader Marissa Flores, and the co-sponsors of this bill, TJ Manglonia, Speaker Edmund Villagomez, Vincent Camacho, and Representative Rangamar. Thank you for this bold move in a time where resources are scarce to appropriate settlement funds towards MVA's recovery initiatives. This bill is very important, and I cannot underscore the importance of this. At a time where many are struggling, I still wonder oftentimes how hotels are still even in operation. They're losing money every day. This bill, House Bill 24-96, is very symbolic for the industry. It shows your commitment to the industry and to the people that you represent. Your bill to appropriate funds, and this is not all the funds that we will need to get us out of this hole, but this is a very strong start, and it shows a commitment of all of you towards our people. It's been clear and it's been evident since the pandemic that tourism is the corner of our Marianas. Right? It affects everybody's lives. Everyone is affected. So there may be some folks out there that may question you, but please do not be deterred, because this is an investment in every single life. It's an investment in PSS, because as we bring in more tourists, and that's the hope for these funds, that they'll go towards bringing in tourists, which would impact government resources, which would impact every life in the CNMI. So again, Don Cluna Sizus Masi, thank you for taking this bold move at a time when everyone is coming up here asking for funds, including MVA. And rest assured, and along with Chair Warren Villagomez and the rest of the board, that we are serious in stretching every dollar that you appropriate. I think this body has not appropriated any funds towards Marianas Visitors Authority for over a decade. So this is historic, and again, it shows your commitment to everyone in the Marianas. Don Cluna Sizus Masi.
Thank you, Mr. Guerrero.
Floor Leader Marissa Flores, and members of this House. As stated by the earlier speakers, we thank you all for this bold move that you all made in identifying the tobacco settlement funds to appropriate to the Marianas Visitors Authority. As we all know, the striving and difficult movements that's going through in our economic recovery here in the CNMI. But more or less, I wanted to share that, this movement that we're doing, it's clear and evident that the Governor Mendiola administration is also pushing the federal government with policy changes, as well as immediate action for our recovery and our economic spiral down. So with that said, I ask you all members to support 2496 for passage, so we can continue on our work as stated again by earlier speakers, that we are continuing to look at legacy airlines to come to the CNMI. We're seeing Philippine Airlines committed for March 29. We will be communicating. We are in communication with Korean Airlines to assure that our growth of our economy is in the right direction for recovery. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Villagomez. Any further comments? Public comments? Should I start picking people? I'm just kidding. All right, with nothing further, we now move down to item number 3, adoption of journals, and I recognize the clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Under item 3, adoption of journals, we have one item, 11th day, second regular session journal dated of December 22nd, 2025.
Thank you, Clerk. I now recognize the floor leader for the proper motion to adopt the journals.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. At this time, I move for the adoption of the following House Journal, stated on the agenda today, the 11th day, second regular session journal of December 22nd, 2025. So move.
Thank you, floor leader. A motion has been made by the floor leader to adopt the 11th day, second regular session journal, and it has been seconded. Any discussions? Ready? All in favor for the motion, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. The motion carries. Thank you, colleagues. We now move down to item number 4, introduction of bills, and I recognize the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. At this time, formally introducing House Bill number 24-96 to appropriate $960,235.74 in tobacco settlement funds identified by the governor as additional funds available for appropriation in House Governor's Communication 24-103 to the Marianas Visitors Authority for Tourism Recovery Initiatives, introduced by myself, but if there's no objection, I'd like to introduce this as a committee as a whole or a House as a whole.
Okay, thank you.
So move.
Thank you, floor leader. House Bill 24-96 is now hereby introduced by the Committee of the Whole. And as the chair, I'd like to recognize the floor leader again for the proper motion to place on calendar.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. At this time, I move to suspend Rule 9, Section 8, to place House Bill number 2496 to appropriate $960,235.74 in tobacco settlement funds identified by the governor as additional funds available for appropriation in Governor's House Communication 24-103 to the Marianas Visitors Authority for Tourism Recovery Initiatives on today's bill calendar. So move.
Thank you, floor leader. A motion has been made by the floor leader to suspend Rule 9, Section 8 to place House Bill number 24-96 on today's calendar for action, and it has been seconded. Any discussions? Ready? All in favor for the motion, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. The motion carries. Thank you, colleagues. We now move down to the next House Bill, and I recognize Representative Rangamar.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Formally introducing House Bill number 24-97 to exempt the Commonwealth Ports Authority from the obligation to remit the 1% public auditor fee pertaining to seaport revenues. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Rangamore. House Bill 24-97 will be referred to the Committee on Ways and Means. I now recognize the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. At this time, formally introducing House Bill number 24-98 to amend Title IV of the Commonwealth Code to provide business gross revenue tax relief for taxpayers operating at a net loss under the Northern Mariana Islands Territorial Income Tax and for other purposes. So move. Introduced by myself.
So introduced. Let's just pass everything. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you, floor leader. House Bill 24-98 is referred to the Committee on Ways and Means. I now recognize Representative Vincent Aldon.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to formally introduce, where's that? Yeah, House Bill 2499 to amend Title VI, Division 1, Subsection 1609, Theft of Utility Service to provide a permissive inference of intent under specific circumstances while preserving due process protections and for other purposes. Introduced by myself. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Aldon. House Bill 24-99 will be referred to the Committee on Judicial and Governmental Operations. I now recognize the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. At this time, formally introducing House Bill number 24-100 to amend the statutory language governing dormant and unclaimed accounts to clarify the regulatory provisions regarding dormancy periods, the perpetual right of owners to claim funds, and the administration of escheated funds, introduced by myself. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, floor leader. House Bill number 24-100 is hereby referred to the Committee on Commerce. Next, I'd like to recognize myself, formally introducing House Bill 24-101 to name the structure for the CNMI Women's Association Center as the Felicidad Taman Ogomoro Women's Development Center, and for other purposes, introduced by myself. And if there's no objection, I'd like to have this introduced as a committee of the whole.
No objection.
Okay, thank you. Clerk, please let the record reflect that. And with that, I'd like to recognize the floor leader for the proper motion to place House Bill 24-101 on calendar.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. At this time, I move to suspend Rule 9, Section 8, to place House Bill number 24-101, to name the structure for the CNMI Women's Association Center as the Felicidad Taman Ogomoro Women's Development Center, and for other purposes, on today's bill calendar. So move.
Thank you, floor leader. A motion has been made to suspend Rule 9, Section 8, to place House Bill number 24-101 on today's bill calendar for action, and it has been seconded. Any discussions? Ready? All in favor for the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it, the motion carries. Thank you, colleagues. Any unnumbered bills to be introduced under House bills? Going once, going twice. Okay, we'll now move to House local bills, and I recognize on behalf of Representative Julie Ogle, Representative Blas Jonathan Ato.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Formally introducing on behalf of Rep. Ogle, House Local Bill 24-47 to appropriate $100,000 for the continued operation and regulatory oversight of the Road Casino Gaming Commission and for other purposes. Introduced by Rep. Ogle, and I know it's going to proceed to delegation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative Ato. I now recognize Representative Malcolm Omar for the next House local bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Introducing House Local Bill 24-48 to reappropriate funds under Section 2 TD of Saipan Local Law 2304, Project Code 7190M, and for other purposes, introduced by myself and Rep. Joel Camacho. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Omar. Any other unnumbered bill? Recognize Representative Ato.
Thank you again, Mr. Speaker. Introducing an unnumbered House Local Bill for Rep. Julie Ogle, entitled to appropriate $99,625 for medical subsistence, municipal scholarship, and operation of the mayor of Rhoda. So moved. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Ato. I now recognize Representative Yumo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Now introducing unnumbered local bill to appropriate local funds from revenues collected pursuant to Saipan Local Law 11-2 and for other purposes. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative Yumo. Any more unnumbered House local bills to be introduced today? Okay, with nothing further, we now move down to introduction of resolutions. And I recognize on behalf of Representative Danita Kaipat, I recognize Floor Leader Marissa Flores.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I formally introducing on behalf of Representative Danita Yangtamay, House Resolution number 24-25, to congratulate and honor all the women in the Commonwealth as we celebrate their contributions and achievements during the month of March 2026, proclaimed as CNMI Women's Month, and March 8th as International Women's Day. And if there's no objection, we'd like to introduce this as a committee as a whole and also place on the resolution calendar. So move.
Okay, with no objection, House Resolution number 24-25 is hereby introduced by the Committee of the Whole. Clerk, please let the record reflect that. And House Resolution 24-25 will be placed on today's resolution calendar for action. Now I recognize myself. Introducing House Resolution number 24-26 to recognize Aria Kilbach for her esteemed accomplishments as Miss Northern Marianas Earth 2025, representing the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands in Miss Earth. Pre-filed by myself, and with no objection, I'd like to have this introduced as the Committee of the Whole. Okay, thank you, everyone. With no objection, Clerk, please let the record reflect that, and it will be placed on today's resolution calendar for action. Any unnumbered resolutions to be introduced today? Okay, with nothing further, as mentioned, we will skip item number 6, messages from the Governor, and we'll come back to it. We now move down to item number 7, Senate Communications, and I recognize the Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Under item 7, Senate Communications, we have Senate Communications 24-80 to 24-86.
Thank you, Clerk. And with that, I recognize the floor leader for the proper motion to accept Senate communication.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. At this time, I move that the House accept Senate Communications 24-80 to 24-86, and that it be deemed the property of the House for further disposition as appropriate. So move.
Thank you, everybody. A motion has been made by the floor leader to accept Senate communications, and it has been seconded. Any discussions? Ready? All in favor for the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. The motion carries. Senate
Mr.
communi-
Speaker?
Yes, recognize
sorry.
Representative Atta.
If there's no objection from the members, can we go back to introduction of House local bills? I got one more for Rep. Julie Ogo, unnumbered local bill. If
All
there's
right,
no objection from the members.
let us go through the Senate communications first, and then we'll go back.
Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Representative Atta. All right. Under Senate Communication 24-84, referring to Senate Bill 24-24, that Senate bill will be referred to the Committee on JGO. Senate Communication 24-85, referring to Senate Bill 24-47, that will be referred to the Committee on Commerce. Any further discussions under Senate Communications? Okay, ready? At the request of Representative Atta, we'll now go back to the introduction of House local bills. Representative Atta, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I apologize to you and our colleagues. But formally introducing a House local bill on behalf of Rep. Julie Ogo to appropriate $20,000 for the Rhoda Aging Program and the Rhoda DCCA Flame Tree Arts. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So move.
Thank you, Representative Atta. One more time before we leave the House local bills. All right, thank you. We'll now proceed down to House Communications. Clerk?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Under item 8, House Communications, we have House Communication 24-83 to 24-86.
Thank you. Clerk, any discussions under House Communications? Ready? All right, thank you, colleagues. We'll now proceed down to item number 9, communications from the Judicial Branch. We have none. Item number 10, communications from department and agencies. Clerk?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Under item 10, communications from department and agencies, we have one item, Department and Agency Communication 24-27.
Thank you, Clerk. Any discussions under communications from departments and agencies? Ready? All right, thank you, colleagues. We now move down to item number 11, miscellaneous communications. Clerk?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We have one item, Miscellaneous Communications 24-97.
Thank you, Clerk. Any discussions under miscellaneous communications? Ready? Again, I just would like to congratulate the newly installed Saipan Chamber of Commerce 2026 Board of Directors and Officers. Let us continue to work together to further improve our economy and the business sector in our community. With nothing further, we now move to item number 12, reports of standing committees. We have none. Item number 13, reports of special and conference committees. We have none. Item number 14, unfinished business. We have none. Item number 15, resolution calendar. I recognize the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move for the adoption of House Resolution number 24-25, a House resolution to congratulate and honor all the women in the Commonwealth as we celebrate their contribution and achievements during the month of March 2026, proclaimed as CNMI Women's Month, and March 8th as International Women's Day. So move.
Thank you, floor leader. A motion has been made for the adoption of House Resolution 24-25, and it has been seconded. Any discussions? Ready? All in favor for the motion, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. House Resolution 24-25 is hereby adopted. Floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. At this time, I move for the adoption of House Resolution number 24-26, a House resolution to recognize Aria Kilbach for her esteemed accomplishments as Miss Northern Marianas Earth 2025, representing the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands in Miss Earth. So move.
Thank you, Floor Leader. A motion has been made for the adoption of House Resolution 24-26, and it has been seconded. Any discussions? Ready? All in favor for the adoption, please say aye. All opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. The motion carries. House Resolution 24-26 is hereby adopted. Thank you, colleagues. With nothing further, we now move down to the bill calendar, and I recognize the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Before offering the motion for passage on first and final reading, I move to suspend Rule 7, Section 9, and Rule 9, Sections 9 and 10. So move.
Thank you, floor leader. A motion has been made by the floor leader to suspend Rule 7, Section 9, and Rule 9, Sections 9 and 10, and it has been seconded. Any discussions? Ready? All in favor for the motion, please say aye. All opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. The motion carries. Floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. At this time, I move for the passage on first and final reading on House Bill number 24-96 to appropriate $960,235.74 in tobacco settlement funds identified by the governor as additional funds available for appropriation in House Governor's Communication 24-103 to the Marianas Visitors Authority for Tourism Recovery Initiative. So moved.
Thank you, floor leader. A motion has been made for the passage of House Bill number 24-96, and it has been seconded. Any discussions? Recognize the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, colleagues. I know that some of us are ready to vote. Some of us may be unclear, but we passed this bill as a whole, so I would be remiss if we did not also mention to the public why this bill is so important. I rise in continued support of House Bill number 2496, which appropriates $960,235.74 in tobacco settlement funds and not the retirement funds. Let's be clear about that, because all we heard was settlement, and it might have caused havoc maybe later on. So it is in tobacco settlement funds identified by the governor in the governor's communications to the House 24-103 to the Marianas Visitors Authority for Tourism Recovery Initiatives. This measure represents a lawful exercise of the legislature's constitutional power of appropriation within the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands. The Constitution vests this body with the authority to allocate public funds. House Bill 24-96 does precisely that. It directs identified available funds toward a defined economic purpose. However, we must be clear about the stakes. If tourism stabilization efforts do not succeed, the Commonwealth may face serious consequences, including further declines in government revenue derived from visitor-related economic activity, additional business closures within the hospitality, retail, and service sectors, increased unemployment and workforce out-migration, reduced tax collections impacting the general fund, greater fiscal strain on public safety, healthcare, and education services. These are not abstract risks. Tourism remains the principal driver of the economic activity. A continued contraction without stabilization efforts would compound existing fiscal pressures. This is why this appropriation is necessary. But we also must define roles clearly. The legislature's responsibility is to appropriate funds consistent with the constitutional authority and fiscal law. Through House Bill 2496, we fulfill that responsibility. Execution, implementation, and measurable outcomes fall within the authority of the executive branch. The administration of these funds, the strategic deployment of tourism recovery initiatives, and the performance results achieved are executive functions. While we authorize this appropriation in good faith and in response to identified economic need, the executive branch is accountable for the effective and transparent use of these funds. Should these initiatives fail due to mismanagement, lack of execution, absence of measurable performance, this body retains its full oversight authority. Appropriation does not mean abdication of oversight. We will expect reporting, we will expect measurable benchmarks, and we will expect transparency. This measure reflects constitutional balance, legislative authorization, and executive implementation, subject to the legislative oversight. Colleagues, I ask that you support this bill because we're legally grounded by the constitutional scope. It is responsive to current economic conditions, but it also affirms that the accountability remains intact. For these reasons, colleagues, I ask for your full support on the passage of House Bill number 24-96. So move. Or thank you.
You're welcome. So move. Just kidding. Any further discussions under House Bill 24-96? Ready? All right, clerk, please call the roll.
Representative Aldan? Yes. Representative Aquino?
Yes.
Representative Atal?
Yes.
Representative Benavente?
Hunggan.
Representative Angelo Camacho?
Yes.
Representative Diego Camacho?
Yes.
Representative Joel Camacho?
Hunggan.
Representative Joseph Flores?
Yes.
Representative Marissa Flores?
Yes.
Representative Manglona?
Yes.
Representative Omar?
Hunggan.
Representative Palacios?
Hunggan.
Representative Rangumar?
Yes.
Representative Sablan?
Hunggan.
Representative Siniclas?
Yes.
Representative Yumo? Mr. Speaker?
Awer.
Mr. Speaker, all 17 members present voted yes.
Thank you, clerk. With all 17 members voting yes, House Bill 24-96 hereby passes the House. Clap. Floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. At this time, before offering the motion for passage on first and final reading of House Bill number 24-101, I move to suspend Rule 7, Section 9, and Rule 9, Section 9 and 10. So move.
Thank you, floor leader. A motion has been made by the floor leader to suspend Rule 7, Section 9, and Rule 9, Sections 9 and 10, and it has been seconded. Any discussions? Ready? All in favor for the motion, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. The motion carries. Floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. At this time, I now move for the passage on first and final reading on House Bill number 24-101 to name the structure for the CNMI's Women Association Center as the Felicidad Taman Ogomoro Women's Development Center, and for other purposes. So move.
Thank you, floor leader. A motion has been made by the floor leader for the passage of House Bill 24-101, and it has been seconded. Any discussions? Ready? Clerk, please call the roll.
Representative Aldan? Yes. Representative Aquino?
Yes.
Representative Atal?
Yes.
Representative Benavente?
Hunggan.
Representative Angelo Camacho? Representative Diego Camacho?
Yes.
Representative Joel Camacho?
Hunggan.
Representative Joseph Flores?
Yes.
Representative Marissa Flores?
Yes.
Representative Manglona?
Yes.
Representative Omar?
Hunggan.
Representative Palacios?
Hunggan.
Representative Rangumar?
Yes.
Representative Sablan?
Hunggan.
Representative Siniclas?
Yes.
Representative Yumo? Mr. Speaker?
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, all 17 members present voted yes.
Thank you, clerk. With all 17 members present voting yes, House Bill 24-101 hereby passes the House. Thank you, colleagues. And as mentioned earlier, we will now go back to messages from the governor. But before we get into that, I'd like to call for a recess. Before we went on recess, we just got done with the bill calendar, and as mentioned before recess, we will go back to governor's messages from the governor. And with that, I'd like to recognize the clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Under Governor's Communication, item 6, we have Governor's Communication 2497, which was read on January 16, 2026. Governor's Communication 24113 through 24118.
Thank you, clerk. Under Governor's Communications Communication 24-113, I'm referring that communication to the committees on JGO and Transportation and Infrastructure. Likewise with Governor's Communication 24-118, I'll be referring that communication to the committees on JGO and Transportation and Infrastructure. Both communications referring to the required documents for the renomination of Mr. Oscar Patrick Kitugua. Again, deadline is April 22nd. And with that, any further discussion under recognize Representative Joel Camacho?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd just like, on behalf of Representative Malcolm Walmore and myself, I'd like to formally thank the governor and the administration for signing into law House Local Bill 24-38, which is now Saipan Local Law 24-20. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative Camacho. Representative Aquino?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to thank the Honorable Governor Apatang for signing into law House Local Bill number 24-41, which is now Saipan Local Law 24-21, which reprograms or reappropriates $80,000 for the beautiful village of Precinct 2. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Aquino. Floor leader?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also like to take this time and thank the governor for passing House Local Bill 2436, which is now Saipan Local Law 24-19, for the maintenance upkeep of recreational facilities related to those in Precinct 3. So thank you on behalf of the Precinct 3 representatives and myself.
Thank you, floor leader. Any further discussions under messages from the governor? Okay, with nothing further, I now like to recognize under Governor's Communication 24-97, the Chairman of Ways and Means, Chairman John Paul Sablan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And under Governor's Communication 2497, informing the House that he had signed into law, and line item vetoed in parts, House Bill 24-80, House Substitute 1, which became Public Law 24-20, and that this communication was referred to your standing committee, Mr. Speaker, by yourself, and we understand that the item veto deadline is dated on the 27th of this month. And by that referral, Mr. Speaker, your committee on Ways and Means, together with the Committee of the Senate Fiscal Affairs Committee, had deliberated over 4 weeks on the items vetoed by the administration. And under Section 201, on page 15, line 7, entitled General Fund Prospective Adjustment at a figure of 4.4 million, both committee had decided that the veto stands. Under Section 203 of page 18, lines 5 through 15, your committee, together with the Committee of Fiscal Affairs, had decided on Section 203 reporting, entitled Reporting Requirements for Secretary of Finance, that on Section 203D, we decided that we will override, and on Section 203E, that the veto stands. Under Section 602, under page 23, lines 15 through 22, and to continue on page 24, lines 1 to 5, sections 202 entitled Hiring Restriction, sections 602A and B, both committee has decided to override the line item veto. Under section 603, on page 24, lines 7 through 11, both committees, together with the committee, or your Committee on Ways and Means, Mr. Speaker, have decided to override section 603 entitled Salary Cap, section 603A. Further, Mr. Speaker, under 604, page 25, lines 6 through 15, entitled Salary Increases After Revised Budget Submittal, both committee has decided to that 604A and B, that the veto stands. Under section 609, entitled Vacant Position, on page 27, lines 7 through 11, both committee have decided that this line item provision will be override. Under section 612.
Excuse me. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to call a short recess, please.
Short recess, just for clarification. Before we went on recess, Chairman John Paul Sablan still had the floor, discussing the override and what stands. And John Paul Sablan, Representative, you still have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Again, if I may go back to section 609 entitled Vacant Position, under page 27, lines 7 through 11, that both committee have decided the provisions on this section that the veto stands. Moving along under section 612 entitled Hazardous Pay, under page 21, starting from line 7 through 9, that both committee have decided that this line item veto will be override. Moving along, Mr. Speaker and members, to section 617 entitled Outside Source Revenue Received by the CNMI. Both committees have decided that this section, that the veto stands. Under...
Excuse me, JP? I understand. Rep. Sablan, on section 617, can you please identify the page number?
Under 617, page 12, 29, lines 17 to 21, through page 30, lines 1 to 9.
Thank you.
Both committee have decided that the veto stands. Moving along, Mr. Speaker and members, under section 703, entitled Judicial Branch, page 31, under lines 10 through 13, both committee have decided that we will override this line item provision. Moving along to section 704, entitled Legislative Branch, under page 35, line 1 through 4. The committee have decided under 704J that we will override the line item veto. And under 704K, the veto stands. Moving along under section which is, my apologies, still on under section 704, entitled Legislative Branch. The line items that were vetoed are items on page 35, item 1 to 4, and same on page 35, line 17 to 22. Going all the way through page 36, line item 8 through 12. Moving along, under section 705.1, entitled Limitation on 1 CMC 7604 and 7204, Austerity Provisions and Prohibitions on Retroactivity. On page 39, lines 19 through 21, both committee have decided to override. We are under 705.1.
So it shows page 42 and 41. You said page 39.
I have page 39 here, Mr. Speaker, under 7. Short recess.
Let's call for a short recess now. to session. Before we went on recess, Representative John Paul Sablan had the floor, continuing his discussion regarding the
Thank you, Mr.
override.
Speaker. And before we had recess, we were at Section 704, entitled Legislative Branch, under page 35, from lines 1 to 4, item J. Both committee have decided to override item K stands. Moving along to section (705). Under title limitation on 1 CMC 7604 and 7204 austerity provisions and prohibition and retroactivity. Section 703.
705, Rep. Sablan.
Point 1.
So 705 D and F. Short recess.
Short recess.
No. On page 41. 705.1.
I thought D. Sorry.
Short recess, Mr. Speaker.
Short recess. Chairman?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and my apologies, Mr. Speaker and members. We are now under Section 705, and under Section 705, entitled Executive Branch, Section 705D, and Section 705F, which are reflective under Section 705D, page 4D, lines 12 to 15, and on page 41, lines 1 to 9. Both committee have decided to override. Moving along, we are now under Section 705A, .1, limitations on 1 CMC 7604 and 7204 austerity and provisions and prohibitions on retroactivity. Under page 41, lines 14 to 22, and to continue on page 42, lines 1 to 8. Your committee, both committee have decided to override. And moving along under Section 708, which is entitled the Third Senatorial District, Mayor of Saipan and Mayor of the Northern Islands, and Saipan, Northern Islands Municipal Council. Under page 25, 45, my apologies, lines 5 through 10, Both committee have decided that the veto stands and that a standalone bill will be drafted to entertain the intent. Moving along to section 709, entitled Other Programs. Under page 48, from lines 17 to 19, both committee have decided that we override these line item provisions. Moving further down, Mr. Speaker, members, to section 711, entitled Department of Public Lands. Under page 50, from lines 20 to 22, the committee, and on page, my apologies, on page 51, lines 3 to 5, both committee have decided to override. And moving along to section 712, entitled Financial Data and Transparency Information Access. Starting on page 51, Mr. Speaker and members, from lines 17 to 22, going through page 52 from lines 1 to 22, and to continue on page 53 from lines 1 to 5, both committee have decided that we will override this line item provisions. Moving along to section 713. On page 52, from page 52, line 17 to 22, all the way to page 53, lines 1 to 5, both committee have decided to override. And moving along to our last section, which is section 802, entitled Non-General Revenue Sources, under page 55, from lines 6 to 8, that both committee have decided that the veto stands. And on lines 9 to 12, the committee, with the dollar amount, both committee have decided to override. And lastly, Mr. Speaker and members, under Schedule A, under page 5, there is no line here, but under Independent Program, under the title Sinamay State Soil and Water Conservation District, Inc., with the line item with the figure of 63,156. The committee, both committee have decided that the veto stands, and that we have already Representative Patrick San Nicolas, who had introduced already a standalone legislation that addresses the concern of the administration and the governor. These, Mr. Speaker and members, are the exercise that was taken over 4 weeks since Public Law 24-20 was enacted into law. And these are the decision made by both your committee on the Standing Committee on Ways and Means, together with the Senate Committee on Fiscal Affairs. And I ask the full support of this august body, and that, Mr. Speaker, that you ask the floor leader to make that proper motion. Thank you, and if there's any question, I stand to answer to the best of my ability. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Chairman Sablan. And with that, I'd like to call the recess so that the floor leader can prepare that motion. Short recess. to session. Before we went to recess, the chairman of Ways and Means, Representative John Paul Sablon, has explained the override and which stands under House Bill or Public Law 24-20. And with that, I now recognize the floor leader for the proper motion. Floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Pursuant to Article 2, Section 7C of the CNMI Constitution, I move that the House reconsider and override the governor's veto of the following sections of Public Law 24-20. Sections 203D, page 18, lines 5 through 15. Section 602A and 602B, page 23, lines 5 through 22, and page 24, lines 1 through 5. Oh, I'm sorry, page 23, lines 15 through 22, and 602B, page 24, lines 1 through 5. Sections 603A, page 24, lines 7 through 11. Section 612, page 28, lines 7 through 9. Section 703D, page 31, lines 10 through 13. Section 704J, page 35, lines 1 through 4. Section 705D, page 40, lines 12 through 15. Section 705F, page 41, lines 1 through 9. Sections 705.1, page 41, lines 14 through 22, and page 42, lines 1 through 8. Section 709E, page 48, lines 17 through 19. Section 711A, page 50, lines 20 to 21, and page 51, lines 3 through 5. Section 712, page 51, lines 17 through 22. Page 52, lines 1 through 22. And page 53, lines 1 through 5. Section 713, page 52, lines 18 through 22. And page 53, lines 1 through 5. Section 802, B, page 55, lines 9 through 12. And with that being said, Mr. Speaker, I move that the House override the sections as listed, and it would also be filed with the clerk. So move.
Thank you, floor leader. A motion has been made by the floor leader to reconsider the governor's veto of the sections as mentioned and as listed. This requires a 2/3 vote, which is 14 of the members of the House upon reconsideration to pass, notwithstanding the governor's objections. And it has been seconded. Any discussions? Recognize Representative Yumo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Chairman John Paul, for going over the line item veto by the government, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the House disagrees completely, and the House has chosen to override because both houses have sat down and discussed thoroughly the overrides, and both houses have agreed during our deliberation. So it's not necessarily that we are challenging the rule of the executive branch, but we are challenging a lot of what the attorney of the executive branch recommends. So with that, I do ask the members to support the veto, parts of the override mentioned by the floor leader, and that it doesn't necessarily mean that we are challenging the authority of the governor. It just means that we disagreed with the advice of the council that have suggested the override veto throughout the years. So this is the first time both houses have sat down and agreed. So with that, I ask the members to support the override as mentioned by both the chairman and the floor leader. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Yumo. Any further discussion under the motion offered by the floor leader? We're ready? Okay, so again, it requires 2/3 of the members. So there's a total of 20 members, 2/3, which is pretty much 14. Just for clarification for those watching out in the public and for the members that are wondering. So with no further discussion, I'd like to. Yes, a yes is a support of the override. A no vote is a no for the override. Okay, just for further clarification, because yeah. And if you're confused, you can always ask for recess, and we can clarify again before you vote. Okay, with nothing further, I now recognize the clerk to please call the roll.
Representative Valdon. Representative Aquino.
Yes.
Representative Patel.
Yes.
Representative Benavente.
Good.
Representative Angelo Camozzo. Representative Diego Camozzo.
Yes.
Representative Dual Camozzo.
Good.
Representative Joseph Flores.
Yes.
Representative Marissa Flores.
Yes.
Representative Manglonia.
Yes.
Representative Omar.
Good.
Representative Palacios.
Good.
Representative Rangomar.
Yes.
Representative Sablan.
Good.
Representative San Nicolas.
Yes.
Representative Yumo. Mr. Speaker.
Well,
Mr. Speaker, all 17 members present voted yes.
thank you, clerk. On a vote of 17 in the affirmative and none in the negative, having received the required 2/3 vote of the members, the veto of all the sections mentioned during the discussion and in the floor leader's motion is hereby overridden. Thank you, colleagues. All right, we now move to the next item on the agenda, which is item number 17, miscellaneous, and the floor is open. Recognize the floor leader.
Sorry, colleagues. I know you guys hate it when this part comes up because I'm always going to want to speak. But it's very important because we had some action today that really requires some historical information, but also allows our public to truly understand where we're at right now in terms of this economy. So today I'm not going to lecture anybody. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to tell a story. And the story is not about division. It's not a story of excuses, but a factual story about promise, failure, consequences, and responsibility. In 1976, our leaders entered into the covenant to establish a Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands in political union with the United States of America. That covenant granted U.S. citizenship to our people. It preserved our right to local self-government. And it committed to the United States to assist in our economic advancement and political stability. It was a partnership. In 1978, our Constitution took effect, establishing Article 2, Legislative Authority, Article 3, Executive Authority, and Article 4, Judicial Independence. Checks and balances were built to protect the people. Accountability was embedded by design. But institutions only function when leadership upholds them. For decades, tourism powered the prosperity across Saipan, Tinian, and Rota. Visitors' arrivals approached 500,000 annually before the pandemic. Businesses expanded. Employment was strong. Government revenues were stable. But even during growth, warning signs appeared. Weak internal controls, procurement irregularities, unreconciled accounts, non-compliance with federal grant requirements. These were not isolated incidences. They were reoccurring findings. When the same deficiencies appear year after year, it is not oversight. It is systemic failure. And systems fail when leadership fails to correct them. In 2008, Congress enacted the Consolidated Natural Resources Act of 2008, federalizing CNI immigration. Congress cited serious concerns: labor exploitation, human trafficking, wage violations, weak enforcement mechanism. Those concerns were examined in hearings before the United States Senate and the U.S. House. Where abuse occurs, reform is necessary. But we must consider the broader context. Labor violations occur throughout the United States. Human trafficking is prosecuted nationwide. Wage theft and workplace compliance cases exist in every state. The difference was not the existence of violations. The difference was scale, political leverage, and economic impact. In the states, reform typically strengthened enforcement. In the CNI, reform transferred immigration authority. And it occurred without what many believe was a fully co-designed transition aligned with our economic realities. It occurred without it. And at the time, our garment industry competed directly with mainland textile interests. National trade politics were active. Competing economic pressures existed. Federalization did not occur in isolation. These consequences were significant. The garment industry collapsed, populations declined, revenue contracted, and immigration authority shifted permanently to federal control. When governance weaknesses exist, external intervention becomes easier to justify. That is not accusation. That is an institutional reality. COVID did not create our weakness. It exposed them. In 2024, visitor arrivals were approximately 228,963 people, less than half of pre-pandemic levels. Tourism remains our primary economic driver. When tourism declines, job declines, revenue declines, confidence declines. And our population is now roughly 43,000 and shrinking. Nearly half of our residents report considering relocation due to the economic uncertainty. This is not solely global disruption. It is a compounded effect of over-reliance on a single industry, failure to diversify, failure to correct repeat audit findings, failure to institutionalize fiscal discipline. These are leadership failures across time, not partisan failures. Our delegate to Congress, Kimberly King-Hines, continues to engage federal agencies to strengthen economic flexibility and remove barriers. That advocacy is essential. But the covenant to establish a Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands in political union with the United States of America envisions partnership, not unilateral design. Federal policy must reflect local economic realities. Local governance must meet federal standards of compliance and transparency. Without alignment, imbalance occurs, and imbalance in a small island economy is magnified. So let us speak plainly. We as legislators, if audits are late, if oversight hearings are absent, if repeat findings persist, that's our failure. If internal controls remain weak and corrective actions stall, that is an executive failure. If procurement rules are bypassed and grants are poorly monitored, that is an administrative failure. If policies are implemented without calibration to local economic structure, and unintended harm follows. Accountability is not hostility, it is governance. So we must institutionalize reform. Statutory audit deadlines within 6 months of fiscal year close. Mandatory corrective action plans tied to appropriations. Public quarterly reporting on audit resolution status. Centralized procurement compliance review. Independent internal audit units within major departments. Enforceable penalties for unresolved repeat findings. formal federal local policy coordination mechanisms. Repeat findings must trigger consequence. Otherwise, we institutionalize failure. Tourism recovery is necessary but insufficient. An economy dependent on one external sector is structurally vulnerable. That is not criticism. That is an economic reality. We must pursue deliberate diversification into regional logistics and transshipment, digital and remote professional services, renewable energy development, workforce training alignment with emerging industries, education and research partnerships. These conversations are not theoretical. These are ongoing discussions between our local leadership and federal counterparts regarding economic transition, workforce flexibility, infrastructure modernization, and regulatory alignment. We are engaging, we are coordinating, and we are identifying barriers that can be addressed through joint policy refinement. That collaboration reflects the spirit of the covenant, partnerships in action. But collaboration without urgency becomes delay. Time is not neutral. Every year of stagnation means more outward migration, reduced investor confidence, shrinking workforce capacity, compounded physical strain. In a large economy, delay may be absorbed, but in a small economy, delay is amplified. Time is of the essence. Diversification must move from discussion to implementation, from concept to statute, from meetings to measurable milestones. Failure to diversify was a strategic omission, and omission carries costs. Diversification is not optional, it is survival. The story of 1976 was about courage. The story of the last decade includes warning signs we did not adequately correct. But the story of this decade can be reformed. We cannot blame the system without acknowledging that leaders operated it. And when leadership fails to correct known deficiencies, declines become predictable. So now is the moment that we choose discipline over denial, reform over rhetoric, performance over promise. Because if we do that, the covenant partnership strengthens. Federal trust improves, investment returns, and families stay. And those watching overseas, to our sons and daughters studying abroad, to the families who left in search of stability, we're working to build something worthy of your return. Not temporary recovery, not short-term fixes, but structural reform, transparent governance, and real opportunity. Let us build a Commonwealth, colleagues, where our people believe their best future is right here at home, where coming back is not a sacrifice, but a smart decision, a stable decision, a hopeful decision. Because that's the story that we want to have for our Marianas moving forward. Because our Marianas deserves nothing less than reform, real opportunity, so they can come home. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield my time.
Thank you, Floor Leader. Any further under miscellaneous? I recognize Representative Aquino.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just wanted to say this real quick that with the funding for MVA, I just want MVA, if they're listening, to also focus on the trash that's around the island. Parks and Recs, together with Chairman John Paul, and myself, we do pretty much a lot of the cleaning, like within our districts, and then sometimes extending out. This last weekend, I want to thank our colleague, Joe Flores, for helping us out in Asgono and the Coral Ocean Point up to the intersection of the Catmelo. There was a lot of trash. And I think if we're going to promote the island, the beauty of the island, a lot of us are concerned with the seabed mining, but I'm telling you, we should be concerned about the amount of trash that's around. I don't know if that should be focused in the schools or what, but when you cut grass and then you see the grass go down, the only thing you see is like a lot of trash, plastics, bottles and all that, butyl nut spit in bottles and stuff. But I think that the governor's focus on his rapid beautification team is to focus on tourist attraction sites leading up to hotels or major tourist attraction sites. And I think, Speaker, if we can just dedicate 1 or 2 days a month, just shut down the legislature when we just go start off with Precinct 2 as a pilot project, because, we're one of the most beautiful villages in the island. We just start off there, everyone chip in Precinct 2, and then everyone can look at that model that we created and then go back to your villages and carry on. No, but seriously, we're always eager to help. Any precinct. Chairman John Paul and myself will be there. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Aquino. Floor is still open under miscellaneous. Ready? Ready? Okay, we'll move down to item number 18, announcements. Any announcements? Ready? Recognize Representative Rangomar.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just would like to share an update, our colleagues on my initiative, the Paint the Marianas. I think I've shared that with you guys, and I've shared it to the media. Also like to thank Full Circle Saipan for donating the paints, $30,000 worth, and also collaborating with the Marianas Visitors Authority. It was just great timing because I wasn't sure how I was gonna, work with the deliverables of the paint, but they came up with an idea. They have a branding code, Far From Ordinary. So it kind of worked out. I'm glad they gave me a platform to work with, so that the people have to apply. So any church groups you guys have, clubs, anybody can, schools. MVA cannot do it by themselves. No, we got to help on, and this is an opportunity. Just like alluding to what our colleague talked about, the trash, same thing. We got to showcase our island, and there's, in line with that, I think MVA, there's the Korean Airlines is coming in sometime in April to do a site visit. So if we can push our, our clubs and anybody, even your precinct to apply, I'll give you my staff will make the decision how many, paints you have. We have a lot, but I know there's also more paints coming in. So, please go through the application and then apply. So let's help out. I like to use an analogy. I'm a coach, so I'll use a sports analogy. I always tell my athletes, when you run on your own, it's tough. But when you run with the pack, with the group, they support you, they push you, they pace you, and also they accountability. But the bottom line is, I'm asking you guys to run with me, and let's run with MVA and promote our island. We can't. I know there's external factors with tourism, and it's not under control most of the time, right? But I think we can, grassroots, we can start something so that when tourists come in, they can see the island that we're taking ownership, So that's it. Thank you, Speaker, colleagues.
Thank you, Representative Rangomar. Anybody else under announcements? I recognize Representative Aquino.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just wanted to add, that one time when my Primo wasn't here, that I'm surrounded by greatness here. I've never, I think, experienced a legislative body where I have members running for governor, lieutenant governor, my Primo's governor, speaker, lieutenant governor. I forgot to mention our mayor candidate, and then another mayor candidate down there, and our colleague here for Senate. So I just wanted to say that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Representative Aquino. Any further under announcements? Recognize the floor leader.
Just so that you guys know, there is a proclamation signing for the 2026 Developmental Disability Awareness Month at the Taga Room Saipan Resort on Monday, March 2nd, 2026, from 8:30 to 11 a.m. Also, adjacent and across the street from that, happening at the Multipurpose Center, the proclamation signing for International Women's Day. That is, again, also on March 2nd from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. I'd hope to see all the men there to support all the women. And then there is, and I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Floor Leader. Any further under announcements? Ready? Okay, and with that, we'll now move down to adjournment, and I recognize the Floor Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move to adjourn subject to the call of the chair. So move.
Thank you, Floor Leader. A motion has been made for adjournment, and it has been seconded. Any discussions? Ready? All in favor for the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. The session is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.